Welcome back to Zion's Redemption Radio Network. I'm your host, Mark Lichtenwalter. Today we're going to be covering Chapter 2 of Mysteries of Creation. The title of the chapter is Wonders of the Universe. I love this chapter. Like, it basically dives a little bit into, the wonders of the universe, but it can go so much more in depth. Like, I've studied this stuff throughout the years because I love knowledge and I love God, and God is the greatest scientist. Like God the Eternal Father and the Council of the Exalted Ones, the gods, the Elohim, they're so awesome. We have no idea. Like the technology and the power that they have, the understanding of the laws of the universe and the elements thereof, all of this stuff, they're the greatest scientists. And we as children of God are curious like they are, and we love to learn. And since this book was written in 1989 or published in 1989, like we understand so much more these days than we did even back then, and we're just continuing to grow in knowledge and learn. And we're just like they are. We come from the same substance. We come from the intelligence, every single one of us, from God the Eternal Father, throughout the councils of the gods, the exalted ones, Jesus Christ. We are all from the same intelligence, and we have different points when we became self-aware, and that energy, which was masculine and feminine, separated and became a male and a female spirit. But it's awesome to understand where we come from, who we actually are, and then to understand how God has created the plan of salvation. And that, unlike Christianity, where they believe in the one and done, we get one life to learn, and then what do we get? If we receive salvation, we get to play harps in the clouds for the rest of eternity? No. Like eternity is full of knowledge and full of learning and full of experiences and full of truth. And God has organized, and I'm talking about the eternal and the council of the gods. They have organized unorganized matter, and they've learned the laws of the universe, which are eternal. They've learned how to control, to manipulate, to create, to organize, and we are just like them. We're trying to figure all these things out too. And yeah, there's a lot of people in different experiences where they're, trying to just get through life and whatnot, but we have the opportunity to learn if we want to learn, especially in this day and age with all of the advanced technological advancements that we have. We have the opportunity to learn so much. And the how do you put it, the I don't know how to put it into words, but as we learn things, we can receive inspiration from God. We can receive inspiration from, messengers from God beyond the veil, you know, but we can also receive inspiration from the dark, and with modern Christianity, they think, oh, God just organized all this stuff. And hold on, I'm changing lanes. God just organized all this stuff, and we're just here as his creation, and we didn't exist before. And it just comes from complete ignorance. These things are not it's Greco-Roman thought that is weaved into the rich tapestry of the Hebrew Bible, and it perverts it, and they see the scriptures and the truth of God through their own through these lenses that are just, they blind us. You know, Paul says we see through glass darkly, but when we're there, we'll actually understand things. And like, I don't know. I'm so grateful for the knowledge that God has given me throughout the years, for what He's taught me and for what He's shown me, that I'm able to not be so closed-minded and to understand that God is so much more awesome than we even realize. Like, yeah, when He revealed Himself to me, when I saw Him in the flesh, face to face, or when I was taken into His presence the first time in '95, or even when He's shown me different things, like, His power is love. It's love. But He's so much more than that. And they're so much more than that. They understand us on ways that we cannot even possibly begin to imagine. They understand us better than we understand ourselves, and they understand our potential, you know, and like understanding the wonders and the mysteries of the universe. Like, and we're going to get into a little bit here, but there's so much more to know. And like, over the years I've studied so much, and um, like this is just the tip of the iceberg about what they know. Of course, it's like a speck on the sands of the earth compared to what they know. But like, even what we know, like now, is so much. There's so much more than what can be contained in this book, you know. And you can go into the light and receive inspiration from the light, or you can be damned in the darkness and think and put God into a box and put all these things into a box, and then you'll never know. Well, you might know eventually, but like, I don't know. I just wish people would open their minds and realize that there's so much more to everything than they put God into a box. And you know, it's not just Christians that do this. Everybody around the world in their different faith traditions do this. You know, even in Mormonism, they do this. They don't understand, so they reject. You know, but there's so much more to understand, and I'm just grateful for this book and what Ogden is sharing here, compiling the different quotes and just talking about the different things. And I just really hope that you realize that there's so much more, and that God is so much more awesome. Like, He didn't just speak everything into existence and poof, it was there. He not only organized it, you know, which is the true meaning of create in Hebrew. To create means to organize unorganized matter, or even to organize organized matter, to reshape it and to do things, you know, and to create worlds for us to live on. I mean, this world, with all of its mathematical precisions about where we're at in the universe, where we're at in relation to the sun, the angle and tilt of the earth, like the seasons, all of it. Like, I don't understand how people think that there's not an advanced intelligence. Like, this is just a random thing that just happened, which mathematical probability is impossible. So anyway, let's get into the reading, and I'll try to get this out tonight. I'm actually headed down to Chandler, Arizona, I think, unless they've changed my route. But today's Sunday, and what is today? The 11th of January 2026 when I'm putting this together. And I wanted to work on it yesterday, but I've been working on a book, and I've been trying to get it ready for publication. And I've been working on this book for a long, long time. And I'm getting closer and closer to be able to get it published and get the first edition out there. And I'm going to be working with Pioneer Publishing to get this out there and published. So I just finished the the book cover yesterday. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. I love it. Anyway, let's get into the reading, and then I probably won't give too much commentary today simply because I don't have time. I have to load at 5 p.m. and what time is it? It's 2:50. And I'm in Spanish Fork, Utah, taking my kids home. And my wife is helping a friend move in Salt Lake, so she's not able to help out with things for me, but that's fine because the guy that she's helping is awesome, and he's been a really great friend of ours, and I completely support her and her ability to go help him. So anyway, let's get into this reading, and I'll come back with at least a little bit of commentary, but I think that I've said enough. And then, like I said, every day we hold on here. So every day we're going to be taking and splitting this up into parts, and I'll get it situated so I can get the parts. Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm waiting for a guy to move past so I can pull in to get fuel. Thanks. Anyway, but yeah, I'll get parts done. So we'll do 5 parts this week. There's enough information. It's actually pages 12 through 25 or 26, and so there's going to be a lot of information for each of the parts, a couple pages at least for each one. So thank you for watching, and see you in just a minute. Bye.
Chapter 2 Summary. Wonders of the Universe. Pages 12-26, Mysteries of Creation. Chapter 2 explores the immense complexity, scale, and order of the universe, emphasizing that both scientific discovery and prophetic revelation point to intelligent design rather than chance. The chapter situates Earth within the vast structure of the universe, galaxies, solar systems, and cosmic motion, to help the reader grasp the magnitude of divine power involved in creation. The universe is presented as vast beyond human comprehension, with our sun being only a minor element among billions of stars and galaxies. This realization echoes Moses' response after being shown only a portion of God's creations, leading him to acknowledge humanity's relative insignificance without God. Moses 1. Scientific observations through microscopes and telescopes reveal astonishing order at both the smallest and largest scales of existence. The chapter highlights the precise balances that sustain life on Earth, including its axial tilt, atmospheric composition, distance from the Sun and Moon, gravitational balance, and internal structure, arguing that such precision reflects deliberate engineering. The complexity of biological life, especially the human body's self-regulating and self-repairing systems, further supports the presence of a guiding intelligence. Modern scientific discoveries in astronomy are shown to align with ancient and latter-day revelations. Concepts such as planetary motion, gyroscopic stability, gravitational harmony, and galactic circuits reflect order rather than randomness. The idea that stars, planets, and galaxies move in organized paths, wheels within wheels, reinforces scriptural references to the circuits of heaven. The chapter rejects the notion of creation by chance using classic analogies, such as Paley's watch, to demonstrate that complex systems require intelligent design. Many great scientists, including Copernicus, Pascal, Einstein, and von Braun, are cited as acknowledging a supreme intelligence behind the universe, even as they advanced scientific understanding. A major emphasis is placed on the superiority of revelation over purely empirical science in understanding the purpose and origin of creation. Ancient prophets, Abraham, Moses, Job, Isaiah, and David, are portrayed as possessing profound astronomical knowledge through divine revelation. Abraham's vision, in particular, is highlighted as offering unparalleled insight into cosmic order, divine counsels, and God's governing power. Latter-day prophets, especially Joseph Smith and Orson Pratt, are presented as having received revelations that anticipated modern scientific concepts such as relativity, cosmic motion, and the unity of physical laws. The Doctrine and Covenants is repeatedly shown to describe scientific realities in theological language, affirming that all heavenly bodies are kingdoms governed by divine law. The chapter also teaches that the earth itself is a living, obedient creation, responding to God's commands more faithfully than humanity. Scriptural and prophetic examples illustrate nature's obedience to divine authority, reinforcing the theme that creation operates under God's direct governance. Finally, the chapter concludes that science and religion ultimately agree on one foundational truth: the universe did not come into existence by accident. While human knowledge remains limited, both disciplines point toward a great creator, whose methods and purposes will be explored further in the following chapter. Reading: Wonders of the Universe, Chapter 2 of Mysteries of Creation. Pages 12 through 26. Complexities of our universe, galaxies, and solar system. The vast complexity of the universe extends far beyond the shallow confines of our mortal minds. We have only scratched the surface of knowledge pertaining to this world, not to mention the rest of creation. Our Sun is only a speck among the endless galaxies that compose our universe, as clearly described below, but, great and glorious as the Sun is, and seemingly so much greater than every other object in the sky, it is really only a tiny fragment, a mere speck, in the magnificent starry empire of which it is a part. It is less to the material universe at large than a globule to our globe. With all its retinue of ponderous orbs, it is only one of innumerable hosts of such suns and systems. There are myriads of stars in space immeasurably greater than it. The Gospel in the Stars, Joseph A. Seiss, pages 9-10. Is it any wonder that Moses, after being shown just the world upon which he was created, and the ends thereof, said, "Now, for this cause I know that man is nothing, which thing I never had supposed." Moses 1:8-10. This book is dealing mostly with the creation of just our earth, but to better understand the magnitude and power involved in its creation, it is important to know a little about the entire universe and our Earth's relationship to it. 13. Mortal man stands in awe of the wonders of the universe. Its beauties, balances, and perfections are beyond the grasp of man's finite mind. But it is not just with the natural eye that some of these wonders can be seen. Through the microscope many more astounding perfections can be appreciated, and through the telescope one can observe the expanse of sun, moon, and stars as they revolve in perfect harmony. Pertaining to just our earth, the balances in nature on the land, under the sea, and in the heavens, provide evidence of how all things are kept under the utmost control. The organization of every living thing is another wonder that baffles men of science. The natural machinery of every physical body, with its plumbing, electrical, sensory, heating and cooling, massive library, photographic and energy system, is beyond comprehension. Then, in addition, how these pieces of machinery can repair themselves, are all wonders indeed. Going further, the construction of our planet Earth staggers the imagination. Such a masterpiece is beyond our comprehension. The exact tilt of this sphere to cause our seasons, the needed percent of oxygen for so many breathing things, the proper distance to the sun and moon to give us the right temperature, tides, etc., and just the right size and circuitry of the Earth for the proper weight, densities and environment. These are just a few of the magnificent wonders of our little planet. They are a constant display of ingenious mathematical, chemical, and constructional engineering. We live in a day when interplanetary exploration is becoming commonplace. We now have spacecraft that can travel through our solar system, photographing other planets as they pass by them. To the scientists, the universe is a frontier of great adventure, as the West was for Daniel Boone. To the philosopher, it is beauty. To the poet, It is exotic verse, but to the religionist, the universe is a revelation on the purpose of life and the creations of the heavens. 14. Man builds a house by design, planning, mathematics, and proper architectural structure. But this is just minor intelligence at work when compared to the complexity and perfection of the earth and the universe. To further portray the vastness of galaxies in the universe, Dr. Wernher von Braun, the space scientist, explained, "I cannot believe that the power which created life and order confined all sensible organisms to this comparatively tiny planet. Our Sun is one of 100 billion stars in our galaxy. Our galaxy is one of billions of galaxies populating the universe. It would be the height of presumption to think that we are the only living things in that enormous immensity." Evidence of God in an Expanding Universe, p. 84. Before we proceed further, let's consider a brief definition of three of the terms that are mentioned in this chapter, going from the largest to the smallest. Universe, the totality of all the things that exist. Galaxy, any of innumerable large groupings of stars, typically containing millions to hundreds of billions of stars. Our galaxy is the Milky Way. Solar system, the Sun and all the heavenly bodies that revolve around it. There are about a dozen larger planets in our solar system. Many new discoveries reveal principles of astronomy never known before, such as the gyroscopic action of all of the solar system. Dr. Melvin Cook, noted scientist, explained how the planets seemingly hang out in space. I had the assignment of reviewing a scientific article on gravitation in which was shown that all terrestrial periodicities are in accurate correlation, each relating with precision to the universal gravitational constant g. These include 15. The rotations of the Earth around the Sun, the axial rotation of the Earth, all the gyroscopic and other periodicities of the Earth, even including the secondary wobbles of the Earth. These same sorts of periodic motions are evidently similarly correlated in all the planets and between all the planets as far as they are now known, and the correlations in periodic motions extend, I think, to all heavenly bodies not only of the solar system but into the much greater system, our galaxy, into the clusters of galaxies, and throughout the whole universe, even to the first and foremost creation collab. Creation and Eternalism, less than pamphlet greater than, p. 12. We know that our solar system is only a very small part of a huge island galaxy, of which we are a little Milky Way. Our Milky Way appears to be a great cloud, which is actually a composite of billions of stars, or suns. Estimates, by a series of plottings, reveal that our little system is composed of nearly 200 billion stars. If we were to travel at the speed of light, it would take us just a scant 100 billion years to travel across this tiny galaxy. We begin to realize the size of space when we know there are billions more of such galaxies out there, and some much larger than our own. There are many other stars, or suns, much bigger than ours. For instance, Rigel, the brightest star in Orion, emits 13,000 times more light than our Sun. Betelgeuse is another star which would fill all the space between our Earth and our Sun. Some are larger than that by nearly 5 times. It is interesting to compare these enormous creations to the smallest creation, the atom, a marvel of engineering by design, and conclude that their constructions are basically the same. From the smallest to the greatest creations in the universe, construction is based upon the same principles. But certainly none of them came about just by chance. 16. The scientist Paley described the impossibility of a chance creation of our solar system by comparing it to a man walking in the forest and finding a watch in operating condition with the correct time. By this simple discovery, he knew that some person of intelligence had created that watch and that it had not been formed by some accidental formation in the forest. The watch was evidence of intelligence displayed through the intricate creation and placement of wheels, cogs, hands, casing and glass cover. He said the wonders of the universe are far more complex and display much more intelligence than a functional watch found by chance in a forest. And another scientist used a similar parallel in describing the impossibility of the Earth's existence by chance, comparing it to a huge volcano exploding and its molten lava accidentally pouring out a new automobile with gas in the tank and the engine running. Great men of science and religion agree. Both scientists and religionists continue to ponder over the method of creation and speculate as to its origin, but most admit that a superintelligence had to be the organizer and controller of such perfection. In 1540 Nicholas Copernicus proved, against all previous conceptions, that the Earth rotated around the Sun. He recognized the handiwork of God in the universe. Among the many and varied literary and artistic studies upon which the natural talent of man is nourished, I think that those above all should be embraced and pursued with the greatest zeal which have to do with things that are very beautiful and very worthy of knowledge. Such studies are those which deal with the godlike circular movements of the world, the course of the stars, their magnitudes, distances, risings and settings, and the causes of the 17 other celestial phenomena, and which finally explicate the whole form. For what could be more beautiful than the heavens which contain all beautiful things? For the divine psalmist surely did not say gratuitously that he took pleasure in the workings of God and rejoiced in the works of his hands, unless by means of these things as by some sort of vehicle we are transported to the contemplation of the highest good. Revolutions of celestial spheres, the world's great thinkers, 443-44. About 100 years later, another scientist, Blaise Pascal, also gave God the credit for creating the world. As a philosopher, he wrote arguments for the Christian faith that superseded the best theologians. Let man contemplate the whole of nature in her full and grand majesty, and turn his vision from the low objects which surround him. Let him gaze on that brilliant light, set like an eternal lamp to illumine the universe. Yet the earth appeared to him a point in comparison with the vast circle described by the sun, and let him wonder at the fact that this vast circle is itself but a very fine point in comparison with that described by the stars in their revolution round the firmament. The whole visible world is only an imperceptible atom in the ample bosom of nature. No idea approaches it. In short, it is the greatest sensible mark of the almighty power of God, that imagination loses itself in that thought. World's great thinkers, 199. One of the greatest minds of our time, Albert Einstein, recognized the existence of a great creator, the harmony of natural law. Reveals an intelligence of such superiority that, compared, 18, with it, all the systematic thinking and acting of human beings is an insignificant reflection. The World as I See It, Einstein, p. 267. Dr. Einstein once visited Elder B.H. Roberts in his church office in Salt Lake City. During their conversation, Elder Roberts was called out of his office for a few minutes. When he returned, Einstein was looking through Roberts' library and was thumbing through the book Wonders of the Universe by Orson Pratt. "Who is this fellow Pratt?" Einstein inquired. Roberts told him a little about Orson's life and works, and Einstein replied, "There were not a half-dozen men on Earth at that time who understood the principles this man was writing about." It should be noted here that Pratt's book Wonders of the Universe has been used as a text at the Royal Academy of Science in England. It is a study on the principles of astronomy, and he attributes the existence of all these heavenly orbs to a great creator. When you study all these things, you are learning lessons concerning God. He it is who has thus organized all these materials of nature, has given them their properties, endowed them with their elasticities, placed them in certain proportions, or, as one of the inspired writers says, he has weighed the mountains in a balance. Everything is adjusted in the best possible manner to carry on his operations throughout the great universe which he has constructed. Wonders of the Universe, p. 206. Astronomers and scientists may understand the composition, size, and courses of many of the planets and stars, but most of them do not comprehend the origin, the power and the purpose of these creations. With all their worldly learning, men cannot even begin to comprehend the wonders of the universe without revelation from God. Fortunately, He has given further light and knowledge to 19 His prophets, such as Abraham, Job, Isaiah, Moses, and David. Thousands of years ago they were better informed about the mysteries of creation than the scientists of today. But unfortunately, only a small part of this knowledge has been recorded. Abraham, according to Brigham Young, could tell us more in 5 minutes about astronomy than was known by all the scientists in the world. For example, and it is given unto thee less than Abraham greater than to know the set time of all the stars that are set to give light, until thou come near unto the throne of God. Thus, I, Abraham, talked with the Lord, face to face, as one man talketh with another, and he told me of the works which his hands had made, and he said unto me, my son, and his hand was stretched out, behold I will show you all these. And he put his hand upon mine eyes, and I saw those things which his hands had made, which were many, and they multiplied before mine eyes, and I could not see the end thereof. Abraham 3:10-12. The importance of Abraham's account of creation is emphasized by Dr. Frank Salisbury. Upon more careful study of the book of Abraham, it became increasingly apparent to me why the book was restored to mankind. There is valuable historical information in the first 2 chapters, and chapter 3 is a marvelous view of the insight held by some of the ancients into the workings of the universe, the realities of the God who created it, and His special abode in it. The creation story itself proves to be a unique and marvelous view of creation. It is probably the greatest insight available to man today into the nature of God's creative power. Creation is portrayed not as an act of magic but as the 20 application of a supreme intelligence, truly a divine engineering. There was planning and preparation. Councils were held. Nothing like this is apparent from the Genesis or the Moses accounts. And nothing could be more important for modern man to understand. The creation, Salisbury, p. 83. Job also must have understood a great deal of the universe. Is not God in the height of heaven? And behold the height of the stars, how high they are. And thou sayest, how doth God know? Can he judge through the dark cloud? Thick clouds are a covering to him, that he seeth not, and he walketh in the circuit of heaven. Job 22:12-14. What did Job mean by speaking of the circuit of heaven? Undoubtedly, it was the circuits of the stars and planets, as they revolve in the heavens. For example, we know that the Earth orbits the Sun at 66,500 miles per hour, while the Sun and its system is circling the core of our galaxy, the Milky Way, at approximately 600,000 miles per hour, making one complete revolution in 200 million years. The Milky Way is, in turn, believed to be orbiting a supercluster of 2,500 nearby galaxies at something over 1 million miles per hour, while simultaneously moving outward through space at an estimated speed of over 300,000 miles per hour. The Footstool of God, by Rodney Turner, pages 3-4. Dr. Turner also explained, although the stars comprising a given galaxy appear to the astronomer to be in aimless, random motion, they are, nevertheless, under the ultimate control of an overruling providence. 21. Invisible hands direct this stellar traffic down the trackless highways of galactic space. These bodies, with their planetary systems, constitute wheels within wheels of time and motion. Ibid. p. 3. Isaiah talked about the circle of the earth over 2,000 years before Columbus set sail, and the history books teach that Columbus discovered that the earth was round. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers. Isa 40:22. Moses was instructed by the Lord God and shown many of his creations nearly 4,000 years ago, and God spake unto Moses, saying, Behold, I am the Lord God Almighty. And, Behold, thou art my son, wherefore look, and I will show thee the workmanship of mine hands, but not all, for my works are without end, and also my words, for they never cease. And it came to pass that Moses looked, and beheld the world upon which he was created. Moses 1:3-4, 8. David also spoke of his knowledge of and reverence for the great Creator. By the word of the Lord were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. P.S. 33:6. The heavens declare his righteousness, and all the people see his glory. P.S. 97:6. He telleth the number of the stars, he calleth them all by their names. P.S. 147:4. When I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars, which thou hast ordained, what is man, that thou art mindful of him? And the Son of Man, that thou visitest him? P.S. 8:3-4, 22. With such an understanding of the earth, the sun and the stars, David concluded, The fool hath said in his heart, There is no God. P.S. 14:1. Like the plants, fowl, fish, and other animal life, the earth has life in itself and is obedient to the commands of its Creator. Brigham Young said, And there is a spirit in the earth. I am inclined at this stage of my remarks to expose my ignorance. I am not aware that any of the philosophers, or astronomers, have told you that the earth is a living creature and breathes as much as you and I do. It is the life in the earth that forces the internal waters to the summits of some of the highest mountains, which often gush out foaming lakes and springs. Teachings of Ba. 3:241. Helaman stated that the earth is more obedient to God than is man. Oh, how great is the nothingness of the children of men! Yea, even they are less than the dust of the earth. For behold, the dust of the earth moveth hither and thither, to the dividing asunder, at the command of our great and everlasting God. Yea, behold, at his voice do the hills and the mountains tremble and quake. Yea, and if he say unto the earth, Move, it is moved. Hela 12:7-9, 13. A few other examples showing obedience of the elements of the earth are Moses parting the Red Sea, example 14:21-22, and smiting the rock and getting water from it, example 17:5-6. Jesus walking on the water, Matt 14:24-26, and calming the storm at sea, Mark 4:37-39, Luke 8:23-25. 23. Prophets in this last dispensation also had some knowledge of the wonders of the universe and attributed its creation to a supreme being. In fact, the prophet Joseph Smith may have been way ahead of his time by knowing and understanding things about the universe that science has just been slowly grasping. For instance, the theory of relativity, discovered by Dr. Einstein, could have been familiar to the prophet Joseph. Professor Melvin A. Cook explained, in the peculiar geometry of relativity, any straight line circles the universe. A revelation to Joseph Smith presented the same concept, for God doth not walk in crooked paths, neither doth he turn to the right hand nor to the left. Therefore his paths are straight, and his course is one eternal round. D and C 3:2. This is equivalent to saying that a straight 4-vector is a circle, a sensible statement in relativity. Creation and Eternalism, Cook, p. 23. Other interesting information was also revealed by the prophet Joseph. The earth rolls upon her wings, and the sun giveth his light by day, and the moon giveth her light by night, and the stars also give their light, as they roll upon their wings in their glory, in the midst of the power of God. unto what shall I liken these kingdoms, that he may understand? Behold, all these are kingdoms, and any man who hath seen any or the least of these hath seen God moving in his majesty and power. D&C 88, 45-47. But this life is not all, the voice of reason, the language of inspiration, and the Spirit of the living God, our Creator, teaches us, as we hold the record of truth in our hands, that this is not 24 the case, that this is not so. For, the heavens declare the glory of a God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork, and a moment's reflection is sufficient to teach every man of common intelligence, that all these are not the mere productions of chance, nor could they be supported by any power less than an almighty hand, and he that can mark the power of omnipotence, inscribed upon the heavens, can also see God's own handwriting in the sacred volume. DHC 2, 14. Orson Pratt spent a great deal of his life in the study of astronomy, and became a professor and lecturer on the subject. During one of his discourses in 1875, he read from parts of Section 88 of the Doctrine and Covenants which dealt with the field of science, and after reading them he commented, "I have read these sayings from a revelation given a little over 42 years ago, to that youth, called Joseph Smith, a farmer's boy. Do they sound like the ravings of a madman? Do they sound like something that was invented or composed by the wisdom of man, or do they sound like truth?" Joseph Smith was not a learned man, he had to work for his living when he was a lad, and when God called him and gave these revelations through him, he had not studied any more than the generality of the young men who now sit in the congregation, and probably not near as much. Yet these words were given to him, and they contain information and knowledge far beyond that which you will find recorded in the writings of the learned, information, expressed so simply that a common mind can, in some degree, grasp it, and yet so sublime and so great that when we come to investigate its depths, it requires greater powers and greater understanding than what man naturally possesses. Wonders of the Universe, O. Pratt, p. 197, 25. Because of his vast knowledge on the subject of science and creation, Orson Pratt probably had a greater appreciation of the universe. What rational being can look upward into the blue vault of heaven, and behold the sun in its effulgent glory, the moon, shining with a silvery brightness, exhibiting its ever-varying changes, the stars bespangling the vast concave of nocturnal sky, twinkling, as it were, with joy, and lighting up the dark, unfathomable abyss of an unknown immensity? What rational being, we again inquire, can behold this august and sublime scenery without feeling the most intense desire to unlock the heavenly archives, and read from the great book of creation, the grand science of the origin of worlds, the laws by which they are governed, and their eternal destinies? Kings upon their thrones and the humblest shepherds in the field, have alike participated in this sublime emotion. The poet, enraptured with the magnificent glories of the heavens, has poured forth his sublimest effusions in the most melting harmonious strains of glowing eloquence. While the man of God, with loftier views and higher aspirations, has soared aloft from nature's author, and, overpowered with the infinite greatness and resplendent glories which surround him on every side, he bows in humble adoration before the great Eternal and exclaims, "What is man that thou art mindful of him, or the Son of Man that thou visitest him?" Masterful Discourses of Orson Pratt, Comp. by N. B. Lundwall, p. 293. Brigham Young was also well acquainted with the complexities of creation. There is an eternity of elements, and an eternity of space, and there is no space without a kingdom, neither is there any kingdom without a 26 space. Were the best mathematician to multiply figures from the time he first commenced to learn at 5 or 10 years of age, until he is 100 years old, or until he has exhausted the capacity of figures known to man, he can then tell no more about the number of the creations of God in comparison than a mere child who knows nothing whatever of figures. There is no beginning, no end. There is no bounds, no time, when the elements will cease to be organized into bodies with all the variety you have a faint specimen of on this earth. TCHGS. Of by 345-346, Collier, both ancient and latter-day prophets probably understood, also, the concept of seeing into the past, present and future. Dr. Melvin A. Cook makes an interesting observation. Another transcendent concept of modern revelation is the interesting and largely incomprehensible concept that time can flow in reverse. This is implicit in the description in D&C 130:7 that all things in the past, as well as the present and future, are continually before the Lord. O. E. Overseth, in an article in the October 1969 Scientific American, discussed the possibility of the reverse flow of time, showing that scientists are beginning to think along these lines. Creation and Eternalism, Cook, p. 24. Thus, it is evident that both science and religion have generally agreed that the universe with its galaxies and solar systems did not come into existence by chance, that there was and is a great creator for each heaven and earth. But there is still much speculation as to how it was constructed, and some of these differing conclusions will be considered in the following chapter.